Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to moderate this talk and to conclude, in a way, the Abu Dhabi Art Fair with this Abu Dhabi Talking Art series. I'm happy to introduce the panel, bright panel, to speak about Islamic art tonight. Sheila Canby, thank you. Thank you for flying straight from New York City. You've just arrived, you just landed 2 hours ago, and we're very happy to have you with us this afternoon. Yannick, merci. Bonsoir et merci. From one Louvre to the other, you were the person to be with us today to speak about this museography of Islamic art in the Louvre. And of course, Ahmed Shoky, it's a great honor to have you here with us. You are the scientific director of the Museum of Islamic Art, and you're going to start actually this talk and to show us what you are doing to reopen this beautiful and wonderful museum of Islamic art in Cairo, which is not reopened yet, but is soon going to open. Actually, the topic of this talk was about the definitions of Islamic art, the challenges that we encounter, all of us in our works, talking about museography, talking about definition as well, talking about boundaries, identities, and so on. I'm sure this will be a very rich and interesting talk, and I would like you maybe to start right now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Ahmed, sorry, is going to
I will speak in English. I will speak in Arabic if you like that. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, I will speak about the museum, متحف الفن الإسلامي بالقاهرة. في الحقيقة متحف الفن الإسلامي بالقاهرة بيعد واحد من أهم المتاحف اللي تحتوي على آثار إسلامية في العالم. وده لأن الآثار الإسلامية اللي موجودة فيه متنوعة ما بين البلاد، من أغلب البلاد الإسلامية، من الهند، الصين، إيران، العراق، الجزيرة العربية، سوريا، مصر، شمال إفريقيا والأندلس، إلى جانب التنوع التاريخي اللي بيبدأ من أول الإسلام وحتى القرن ال19. في الحقيقة أنا يعني قسمت المحاضرة بتاعتي ل3 عناوين رئيسية. أول حاجة الهيستوري بتاع المتحف، تاريخ متحف الفن الإسلامي بالقاهرة. تاني محور إعادة تجديد متحف الفن الإسلامي في القرن ال21. ثالث محور عندي اللي هو التشالنج أو الري-ثينكينج الخاص بمتحف الفن الإسلامي، وعنوان محور النهاردة. لو بدأنا بتاريخ متحف الفن الإسلامي هنلاقي إن بيبدأ في عهد الخديوي إسماعيل، وتحديداً في سنة 1869. لما بدأت الفكرة إن إحنا عايزين نجمع الآثار الإسلامية في مكان واحد بعيداً عن السرقات أو حتى البيع والشراء اللي كان بيتم في مصر في الوقت ده. لكن الفكرة لم تتم إلا في عهد الخديوي توفيق ابن الخديوي إسماعيل، وتحديداً سنة 1880. بدأ نجمع الآثار الإسلامية والتحف في مسجد فاطمي اسمه جامع الحاكم بأمر الله. مش بس كده، إنما بعد فترة شيدوا هذا المبنى الصغير وسمي بمدار الآثار العربية أو The House of Arab Antiquities. في الحقيقة ده شكله من جوه، إنما كان أكتر منه كمخزن ستور، أكتر منه كميوزيوم. بمرور الوقت المكان أصبح صغير، حجم الآثار بقى كبير، فتم اختيار مكان جديد في ميدان باب الخلق بالقاهرة، وتم نقل الآثار إليه بعد ما شيد سنة 1902 على يد المعماري الإيطالي اسمه ألفونسو مانسيكالو. في الحقيقة الافتتاح كان في عهد الخديوي عباس حلمي الثاني في 28 سبتمبر 1903. ده شكل المتحف بعد حوالي سنة من الافتتاح. يعني احنا قلنا الافتتاح كان سنة 1903، دي صورة سنة 1904. هو نموذج للمتاحف اللي بدأت في القرن العشرين، اللي كان بيهتم أكتر بحجم الآثار اللي كان بيعرضها. الآثار بتبقى مكدسة بصورة أكبر، ما كانش فيه ستوري لاين للإكزيبيشن بتاعه. وطبعا ده كان طبيعة المتاحف في العالم بصفة عامة في الوقت ده. دي كلها بتعكس لنا شكل قاعات متحف الفن الإسلامي في هذا الوقت. من سنة 1882 كان عندنا حوالي 111 قطعة فقط في دار الآثار العربية. بمرور الوقت بدأ متحف الفن الإسلامي بالقاهرة المجموعة بتاعته تنمو إلى أن تصل لحوالي 92,000 قطعة أثرية. طبعا دي بتعد واحدة من أكبر المجموعات على مستوى العالم. بعد فترة بسيطة بعد حوالي 50 سنة بدأ يبقى فيه اتجاه لتغيير مسمى المتحف ده اللي احنا بنقول عليه Re-Thinking. بدأ إدارة المتحف في هذا الوقت ترى أن كلمة دار الآثار العربية اللي هو كان اسم المتحف حتى هذا التوقيت غير مناسبة، لأن الآثار ليست فقط عربية اللي موجودة في المتحف، إنما أيضا هناك آثار من جميع دول العالم الإسلامي كما ذكرت في بداية المحاضرة، بداية من إيران والعراق والهند والصين وشمال إفريقيا والأندلس وكل هذه البلاد غير عربية. فتم اختيار هذا المسمى اللي هو Museum of Islamic Art. وبعد حوالي 25 سنة وتحديدا سنة 1983 حصل تطوير للمتحف. خلاص المسمى استقر عليه، إنما حصل بعض التطوير للمتحف. هذا التطوير لم يصل إلى العرض نفسه، العرض ظل كما هو بنفس الطريقة اللي احنا شفناها قبل كده. الآثار القاعات الممتلئة بالقطع الأثرية، إنما تم إضافة قاعتين، واحدة للنسيج والأخرى للسجاد، بالإضافة إلى مخازن لمتحف الفن الإسلامي. ده شكل القاعات في تلك الفترة. زي ما قلت شكل الفاترين القديمة اللي احنا شايفينها، يعني ده كان الحال في سنة 1984 وحتى سنة 2003. المتحف ظل بهذه الصورة إلى أن وصل إلى مصر في تلك الفترة مصمم فرنسي اسمه أدريان جاردير. أدريان استطاع أن هو يقنع زاهي حواس وفاروق حسني وزير الثقافة في تلك الفترة إن متحف الفن الإسلامي يحتاج إلى تطوير، وعرض مشروع لتطوير متحف الفن الإسلامي، مش بس في طرق العرض أو تطوير العرض، إنما أيضا لتطوير المبنى ككل، للإنفراستراكشر، للشوكيسز، للديسبلاي سيستم، كل شيء. في الحقيقة إن كان بيواجه أدريان في تلك الفترة مجموعة من المشاكل، لكن لو ركزنا عليها هنلاقي إن أهمها الإكزيبيشن دايركشن بتاع المتحف. مشكلة المتحف الفن الإسلامي في القاهرة إن قاعاته كلها مفتوحة على بعض، يعني ما فيش رومز مغلقة كلوزد رومز أقدر إن أنا أفصلها عن بعضها، وبالتالي دي كانت مشكلة بتواجهه. النقطة الثانية عندنا السكيورتي سيستم، لأن كان قبل كده السكيورتي كان جاردز هيومن، ما فيش أي سيستم الكترونيك سيستم. أيضا الشوكيسز اللي كان لازم يتم اختيارها بحيث تتوافق مع الآثار اللي هتعرض فيها، وأخيرا إنه يبني قصة بيلت ستوري للعرض بتاعه. هنشوف مع بعض أدريان عمل إيه لما نشوف. طبعا ده اللي تم في المتحف، نقدر نقول إن تم تطوير كل شيء في المتحف، حتى إن شكل المتحف تغير. أنتوا لو شفتوه دلوقتي مش هتعرفوا أهو. طبعا قبل ما نوصل للصور هنشوف البلان العام للمتحف. هنا عندي ده البابليك انترانس، هنخش ده الانترودكشن. دي كانت عبارة عن شوكيسز فور مملوك لامب، و بعد كده يمين بنجد ترتيب القاعات بطريقة كرونولوجي، ترتيب تاريخي. العصر الأموي والعباسي والطولوني قاعة واحدة، العصر الفاطمي 3 قاعات، والعصر الأيوبي قاعتين، والمملوكي 3 قاعات، ثم العصر العثماني قاعتين، وبعد ذلك يتغير العرض فكرة تانية. يعني بعد ما كان ماشي كرونولوجي يبدأ بطريقة تانية بالآثار الإسلامية خارج مصر. يبدأ بالآثار في تركيا وإيران والهند والأندلس، ثم يتغير العرض مرة أخرى إلى subject أو الموضوعات. نبدأ بالفيونري آرت. طبعا هذا المسمى فيونري آرت في الإسلاميك آرت يعني كان غريب شوية. بعد كده قاعة للإبيجرافي، وقاعتين للتكستايل والكاربت، وقاعة للكاليغرافي أند لايت، وهنا أرابيسك أند جاردن، أسترونومي، ميديسن، وفي النهاية عندي دي التمبرري اكزيبيشن والبوك شوب أو الجيفت شوب. طبعا دي كانت من ضمن المشاكل اللي بتقابل المتحف، إن الجيفت شوب داخل قاعات المتحف مش في الخارج زي باقي المتاحف. ده شكل المتحف من جوه. زي ما قلت لكم المتحف تغير تماما، بقى واحد من المتاحف الحديثة زي ما احنا شايفين. شكل الفاترين بقى شكل حديث مؤمن. بالطبع أدريان بذل مجهود كبير عشان يوصل للنتيجة دي، لكن كأي عمل بشري لازم يكون فيه بعض نقاط الضعف، مفيش عمل بشري كامل. كان من ضمن المشاكل اللي قابلتنا في بعض هذه القاعات، مثلا القاعة دي يعني رائعة الجمال، لكن في بعض المشاكل اللي بتقابلنا، مثلا ان الفاترينة بتاعتها مفتوحة من فوق مش مغطاة. هو عمل كده علشان المملوك لامب دي تبدأ ان هي يبقى ليها لايتس من اعلى، انما طبعا ده عمل لنا مشكلة بعد كده ان كان في تراب ممكن يدخل لهذه الاثار. ورا هنا بعض دي قاعة للعصر المملوكي، انما في بعض الشبابيك القصية اللي من العصر العثماني في هذه القاعة. طبعا بعض هذه الإشكاليات ما نقدرش نقول إنه هو أخفق، إنما بالعكس هو عمل شغل جيد جدا. ده شكل القاعات زي ما احنا شايفين. بعض الإشكاليات إن ما كانش فيه ريل أكسسوريز، وده يمكن ده مناسب لطبيعة الفاترين في ذلك الوقت، إن الفاترين ما كانش ارتفاعها عالي، وبالتالي ما نقدرش إن احنا نضع فيها أكسسوريز كتير نميز القطع الماستر بيسز اللي عندي. في النهاية المتحف بالفعل كان وصل لمرحلة إنه واحد من أفضل المتاحف اللي موجودة في مصر بعد هذا التطوير، إلى أن بدأ التشالنج في سنة 2014 بعد حوالي 3 سنين من افتتاح المتحف، وتحديدا في 24 يناير الساعة 6:30 صباحا قنبلة استهدفت مبنى مديرية أمن القاهرة اللي يقع أمام متحف الفن الإسلامي بحوالي 25 متر. قنبلة وزنها حوالي 500 كيلو جرامز اوف TNT. طبعا دي دمرت المتحف زي ما احنا شايفين من الداخل، الأسقف من فوق، الشوكيسز، الأوبجكت، يعني كانت دمار كبير جدا جدا. ده كان تشالنج كبير لينا، ان المتحف بعد ما اتصرف عليه حوالي 113 مليون جنيه مصري، كل ده اتدمر في لحظة واحدة. طبعا بسرعة علشان العرض، ايه اللي حصل للآثار؟ تخيلوا فريق الترميم اللي في المتحف، دي المملوك لامبس اللي انتوا شايفينها من دلوقتي، بعضها اتكسر واختلط الزجاج الحديث بالزجاج القديم اللي هو الخاص بالآثار، لدرجة ان الفريق بتاع الترميم كان in the beginning separate the old glass from the new glass. يعني دي كانت مهمته في البداية. وبعد كده بدأ ان هو يجمع هذه المشكوات زي ما احنا شايفين، ويبدأ يعمل عملية الفصل ليها. كل دي عبارة عن مشكوات مملوكية، يبدأ ان هو يجمع المتشابه في مكان، سواء التشابه ده بالزخرفة أو بسمك هذه المشكوات، إلى أن يصل إن هو يجمع قطعة واحدة زي ما احنا شايفين. دي مثلا مجموعة من القطع، بعد ما بيفصلهم بيبدأ يضع عليهم أرقام هذه القطع. بسرعة هنشوف نموذج. دي قنينة زجاجية من العصر العباسي عمرها حوالي أكتر من 1100 سنة. ده شكلها بعد ما دمرت. هنشوف مع بعض فريق الترميم، والفريق بالكامل مصري ما فيهوش حد من خارج مصر. ده المراحل بتاعة الترميم بتاعتها وعملية التنظيف واللصق إلى أن استطاعوا أن هم يرجعوها مرة تانية لشكلها الأصلي. أيضا القنينة اللي احنا شايفينها الخاصة بالأمير صلاح الدين يوسف أمير حلب من العصر الأيوبي، أيضا دي كانت صعبة جدا في ترميمها لأن الزجاج بتاعها رفيع جدا. إنما ده شكلها بعد التفجير. أيضا دي عملية التنظيف واللصق بتاعتها إلى أن عادت مرة أخرى. مش بس الزجاج، إنما أيضا بنلاقي الأخشاب، المعادن، الشبابيك الجصية. المحراب اللي احنا شايفينه ده واحد من أهم المحاريب اللي وصلتنا من العصر الفاطمي وعمره حوالي 1000 سنة. ده شكله بعد التدمير، أصبح طبعا قطع صغيرة جدا. وزي ما احنا شايفين بدأ فريق الترميم المصري ان هو يجمع هذا المحراب مرة أخرى إلى أن استطاع ان هو يرجعه مرة تانية إلى حالته الأصلية. ببساطة عشان نعرف حجم الخسائر، من حوالي 1471 قطعة كانت موجودة في العرض في هذا التوقيت، دمر حوالي 179 قطعة. طبعا القطع دي أو الأوبجكت ده من الماستر بيسز مش من الستور روم، يعني one of the best object we have in Islamic Museum. استطاع فريق الترميم انه يرمم حوالي 90 اوبجكت منهم، والباقي حتى الآن في مرحلة الترميم. ده بالنسبة للآثار. طب بالنسبة للمبنى والشوكيسز، في الحقيقة أن متحف الفن الإسلامي ظل حوالي عام بدون أي تدخل نظراً للمشكلة الاقتصادية اللي حصلت في مصر بعد ثورة 2011، إلى أن استطاع المكتب التنسيقي الإماراتي اللي أنا من هنا بوجه له الشكر ولدولة الإمارات العربية إن هي تمول متحف الفن الإسلامي بحوالي 50 مليون جنيه مصري لإعادة تأهيله مرة أخرى وافتتاحه بالشكل اللائق به. طبعا لولا هذا الدعم ما كانش متحف الفن الإسلامي يقدر إن هو يفتتح مرة تانية، أو يمكن كان ظل حتى الآن منتظر التطوير. الواجهة الخاصة بالمتحف أيضا كان في تمويل من الأمريكان ريسيرش سنتر والحكومة السويدية بحوالي 1 مليون جنيه مصري. نصل في النهاية لنقطة مهمة جدا، وهي احنا قدام اختيارين كفريق للمتحف. هل نفتح المتحف بنفس الشكل اللي كان موجود فيه قبل التفجير، ولا نحاول نصلح ونضيف بعض النقاط اللي احنا عايزين نضيفها؟ طبعا الاختيار الأول سهل والاختيار الثاني صعب، لكن احنا بالفعل بدأنا نختار الاختيار الثاني. وعشان نبدأ بداية عملية صحيحة وضعنا الأول اتكلمنا عن الميشن والفيجن الخاصة بالمتحف. متحف الفن الإسلامي في القاهرة لم يكن له أي ميشن أو فيجن، ما كانش فيه ميشن وفيجن مكتوبة. أهم جزئية احنا ركزنا عليها، أنا مش هقرأ طبعا الميشن والفيجن لأن فيه تفاصيل كتير، إنما ده الخاص بالري-ثينكينج Islamic Art اللي هي to foster a greater understanding and appreciation of the contribution that Muslim civilization have made to world heritage. في الحقيقة دي كانت الرسالة الجديدة اللي عايز يقدمها متحف الفن الإسلامي للعالم، إن الفن عشان نقدر نستفيد بيه في الحقيقة يجب أن يكون في إطار الكونتينر الأساسي الخاص بيه اللي هو civilization. لو أنا اتكلمت دلوقتي عن how the object is beauty, maybe half of you will ممكن نصكم يسمعني أو يبقى متشوق إنه يعرف. إنما لو اتكلمت عن الأبعاد الحضارية والقصص المرتبطة بهذه القطعة أكيد الكل هيسمعني. الميول الإنسانية في الغالب بتميل للقصص والحكايات، وإحنا عندنا في تراثنا الإسلامي الكثير من هذه القصص. البروبلمز اللي احنا بدأنا ندرسها نفس البروبلمز اللي واجهت أدريان، إنما ركزنا على الجزئية الأخيرة اللي هي بيلت ستوري. عملنا إيه؟ ده الانترودكشن، ده اللي إن شاء الله المفروض الافتتاح المتحف قريبا في خلال شهرين. الانترودكشن بتاعنا اتغير تماما، بعد ما كان عبارة عن مملوك لامبس أصبح 4 فاترين، كل فاترينة أو كل شوكيسز فيها قطعة واحدة بس بتعبر عن واحدة من الأمور التي قدمتها الحضارة الإسلامية للعالم، يعني جزء في الجانب العلمي، جزء في الجانب الثقافي. كل ده بيؤدي في النهاية بالشكل ده إلى فاترينة واحدة، دي فيها مصحف اللي بيرمز للدين الإسلامي، اللي بيفلتر كل هذه الأفكار وكل هذه القطع. وفي النهاية عندنا هنا باب من العصر العثماني، يعتبر واحد من أكبر الأبواب المصفحة بالفضة في العالم، وده بيرمز لمتحف الفن الإسلامي اللي بيحمي وبيحتوي كل هذه القطع. جوه باقي القاعات ما غيرناش كتير لطبيعة الفاترين اللي مش هتسمح إن احنا نغير، إنما أضفنا في حوالي 300 قطعة لأول مرة هتظهر للنور في العرض الجديد للمتحف. أيضا هنا عندنا دي قاعة التمبرر اكزيبيشن، تم تزويدها بفاترين إضافية. هنا ده البوك شوب تم إخراجه خارج المتحف تماما، وهيتعمل مكانه قاعة جديدة للعملة والسلاح. احنا عندنا مجموعة رائعة جدا ما كانتش معروضة من العملة والسلاح، هيتم عرضها هنا. هذا الممر كان غير مستغل تماما، سيتم استخدامه لطلبة الفنون الجميلة. بيجي لنا طلبة من الجامعات بيرسموا الآثار اللي موجودة في المتحف، سيتم استخدام هذا الممر كمعرض لعرض رسوماتهم هم والفنانين التشكيليين في القاهرة، عشان نربط الناس بالفن الإسلامي والحضارة الإسلامية. مسمى هذه القاعات سيتم تغييره من الفيونري آرت، وتم تغييره بالفعل، إلى قاعة الكتابات، لأن كل المحتويات اللي موجودة فيها تحتوي على كتابات عربية. أيضا هذه القاعة كان اسمها قاعة الكتابات أو كاليغرافي، هيتم تغييرها إلى قاعة الحياة اليومية، هتكون أشبه ببيت إسلامي، وهيكون فيها ستوري تيلينج ب3 لغات، العربي والإنجليزي والفرنسي، عن قصص من التراث الإسلامي لسلاطين، لعلماء، لشخصيات سواء رجال أو نساء. طبعا في بعض التعديلات في الويندو الخاصة بالمتحف، بعض الدورز اكسسوارز زي ما أنا قلت. أيضا هيكون في تاتش سكرين ب5 لغات في المتحف، العربية واللغة العربية واللغة الإنجليزية والأسبانية والإيطالية والفرنسية. الليبلز والبانلز تم دراستهم بحيث يكون في الليبلز اللي هي البطاقة الصغيرة اللي بتكون مع الأثر داخل الفاترينة، والبانلز اللي بتكون موجودة في القاعة. هنا تم الاهتمام ان يكون في تواصل بينهم، يبقى في مستويات من المعلومة، معلومة رئيسية في البانلز، ثم معلومة فرعية في هذه البطاقات، والجميع بيحكوا قصة. يعني الموضوع مش هيبقى تركيز أكتر على التفاصيل الزخرفية اللي كان الناس بتشعر بالملل لما كانوا وابدأ أوصف له الزخارف النباتية والكتابات، هو شايف ده. إنما لما أقول له مثلا قصة مرتبطة بهذا الأثر، هذا الأثر جه منين وجه إزاي، هو ده اللي ممكن يشد الزائر. في النهاية طبعا علشان نفهم أكتر الفنون الإسلامية لازم نعرف القصص المرتبطة بيها. في عندنا أشبه بمدرسة دلوقتي اتكونت في متحف الفن الإسلامي علشان التيلينج ستوري، خاص بحكاية القصص لطلاب المدارس اللي هيجوا المتحف إن شاء الله، وتم التواصل معاهم، ونبدأ نشرح لهم المناهج الدراسية اللي بياخدوها في المدارس عن طريق القطع اللي معروضة عندنا، بالإضافة طبعا للبروجرام الثابت. أيضا في قصة، طبعا دي مش حقيقية هذه الصورة إنما تم وضعها، في قصة الآن بتكتب عن علاء الدين والمصباح السحري، علاء الدين والقميص السحري. ده قصة عن واحد من زوار المتحف الصغار اللي بيوصل المتحف بطريقة سحرية ويبدأ ياخد جولة ما بين فاترين المتحف والقطع الأثرية، ويقابل خلالها مجموعة من الشخصيات اللي أثرت في التاريخ والحضارة الإسلامية ويكونوا قدوة ليه في المستقبل. طبعا دي بتكون مرسومة بالكاريكاتير وتطوع ليها مصور أو رسام قبطي مسيحي بدون أي أجر. هي دي الرسالة اللي احنا عايزين نوصلها. وفي الحقيقة لو احنا عايزين نواجه الإرهاب والأفكار المتطرفة اللي بعيدة عن التراث الإسلامي أو بعيدة عن الفن الإسلامي، السلاح الوحيد اللي ممكن نستخدمه في هذا هو الليرنينج والإديوكيشن والأويرنس، وده اللي احنا بنحاول نعمله في متحف الفن الإسلامي دلوقتي. طبعا في النهاية احنا مش هنقول ان احنا عملنا يعني كل الاخطاء اللي احنا غطيناها، انما وارد ان يبقى في بعض النقاط الميس اندرستاند اللي احنا هنسيبها، وده ان شاء الله هيكملوا من ياتي بعدنا، ويكون فرصه ان هم يعملوا ري ثينكينج مش بس للمتحف الفني الاسلامي انما ايضا ري ثينكينج فور اسلاميك ارت. وشكرا لكم.
Thank you, Ahmed, for this very special insight of this museum, what happened, what you're doing now. I mean, you talked about vision and mission, and I think you are perfectly well in the job. You talked about the audience. You just concluded with the audience as well. The audience is something which is very dear to your heart. Yannick, you have taken the responsibilities as head of the Islamic Art Department in the Louvre. So tell us more about your new vision.
Okay. Maybe with the images?
Images, no? I think they tell a lot. They say a lot. Yeah.
Sorry?
You just...
Next again.
No.
Next again, yes.
This is...
Okay. Oh. Okay, thank you, Souraya. Yes, 3 years and 2 months ago, opened in the Louvre Museum this new space devoted to Islamic art. Of course, this decision that was taken in 2003 by the President Jacques Chirac was at this time in link with his analysis of the changes of the last few decades on an international point of view and on a national point of view, with the idea of a new need to understand Middle East culture and Islamic civilization. And I would like, as you may imagine, after the events we knew in Paris last week, maybe today, in a very short presentation, to focus on the place of this department in the new national context and the necessity to open to Islamic civilization. As a first point, and like in the Cairo Museum, of course, the ideas seem new, and the word Islamic art is a new concept in 2003, but the collections were in the museum since the beginning. And beginning means during the French Revolution in 1793. You see here the first museum opened at this time, the big gallery, and some of the objects which are now still are few of our highlights. And those objects were in fact in the royal collections. And what I would like to explain through this past history of Islamic art in the Louvre is that it was present, but no one identified really this as Islamic art. I will show you why. This Islamic collection, which was present in the royal collections of Louis XIV and other kings, were developed also by the Emperor Napoleon I in the new big museum he opened for the Louvre. In fact, he developed also his own collection. So it was not at this time, I should say, a political decision to develop this type of collection. It was a private taste of those king and emperors to collect this type of collection. And for Napoleon I, he was very well interested by art of the book. As we can see here, one of our pages coming from this Napoleon collection. The first time that the Louvre devoted a room to Islamic art was in 1905, and it's an interesting date because it's the same period as the Arabic Museum in Cairo. Of course, it's a very interesting period for these studies of Arabic, or as we said in France at this time, Muslim art. And the French people also were very involved in the new museum in Cairo. And so Paris was one of the most important places at this time of collectors, of searchers, to develop some academic views on this art that we didn't really know. So the Louvre was developing this, but inside the Louvre, inside the collection, it was in fact showed as decorative art, and it was in fact belonging to the decorative art department at this time. In 1922, we had the chance to develop the collection by some donation, the very important collection of Delors de Gléon in 1922 that you see here. What is interesting to know is that at this time, we developed a new department called Asiatic Art Department. And Islamic art, coming from Turkey, coming from Syria, coming from Egypt also, were showed as Asian collections. We could show this collection as Asian collection until the Second World War. 1993 is an important time for the Louvre. It's what we call the Great Louvre Project, with, of course, the pyramid entrance, which was built. And I should say it was the first time that we could have 1,000 square meters to develop a story, as you say, about what is Islamic art. So at this time, we spoke about Islamic art, but it wasn't shown as an independent civilization, I should say, but it was, when you visited this space in the Louvre, it was just shown after the ancient Middle East department, and so in a vision of Oriental art, I should say. So this comes to our present presentation, which is the new presentation that you can see today, with this conception that I will quickly develop, that the architect tried to develop between a poetic, I should say, territory and a didactic presentation. So, as I told you, the decision to create this new space is more than creating a new space. The notion, the concept of department is maybe not very common to you. For the professional, it's very clear, but in fact, it's a very symbolic decision to create Department of Scientific, I should say, and Cultural Department of Collections, independent from decorative art, independent from ancient Middle East department. It's the idea that for the first time, Islamic art has to be seen in the Louvre on the same level as a civilization, as European art, as ancient Egypt, as ancient Middle East. And so it had very important consequences. And of course, a new department means also a new space. The old one from 1993 was a 1,000 square meter space. Here, the new one, as you will see, and as you maybe know or have seen, is a new building inside one of the 6 courtyards that we have in the palace, in the old royal palace. So you see here the beginning of this construction, and the idea. So you can see through this architecture how symbolic it was to open this new department. It was before a new way to discover the collections. It's always important, architecture now in museums. It's a political symbol. So the pyramid was the symbol of the great program of the Louvre during François Mitterrand in 1993, so in the end of the 20th century. And this architecture, this very contemporary architecture, like the pyramid, is the symbol of the museum of the 21st century. It means also that it has changed a lot the spirit of the Louvre as a universal culture. Until the opening of the Islamic Art department, the Louvre was mainly seen as the temple of European art culture. In a very large idea, it means that for us in Europe, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, ancient Middle East, it is also part of our European culture because of our story of exploration, the region in an archaeological point of view during the 19th century. But here, with the Islamic Art Department, it means that more than an art history museum, it becomes rather a civilizations museum open to this important civilization of Islamic art. So you see the conception of this architecture with the idea of the veil, which gives space to the objects. And here, inside the museum, you have conception of as the architect, who is an Italian architect, Rudy Ricciotti, likes to say, as a poetic territory. Maybe it's something very abstract to say poetic territory, but what I can tell you is that the visitors of the Louvre, we know everything, or almost everything about the visitors and their perceptions because of inquiries we develop during their visits. And all the visitors say that there is a specific atmosphere in this new architecture and in this new space. So the idea was really the idea of transparency of the roof with natural light coming inside, and transparency of all the showcases. Here, another example with the mosque lamps coming from Cairo and presented here really differently as in your museum. and here the Mughals collections also. And as you see, we don't have, which is also, I should say now, sometimes a problem, but without any specific rooms. It's only one space on 2 levels with all those areas and chronological and cultural areas. Here, to give you an idea, even if it may be complicated in 1 minute to understand these images, but in fact, maybe it's, yes, we can see, you see, no, it's here. Okay, in fact, the visitors, the entrance of the museum is here, and you go this way with a chronological visit, but this is, you have 4 chronological spaces. The beginning of Islam, the empires until 1000. So it's this space. Then you go down, and you have 3 different sections going from here before the Mongols, here after the Mongols, and as we say, the modern empires. It means Safavids, Ottomans, and Mughals. So it's a really chronological space. We try to be, even if the idea was to be poetic, we also try to be didactic, and all those 4 parts are introduced by such a panel with a dynamic map giving information about territories of Islam and idea of chronology also and of historical events. Inside this open space, you have, in fact, different possibilities of visit. You have the possibility of a very chronological visit and didactic visit, but with such showcases, which are the highlights, the masterpieces of the collection, you can also offer to the visitors a way of a quick visit of the masterpieces, which are separated from the series in small showcases. Another example. Other issues of this presentation is about architecture. Of course, architecture has an important place in Islamic art. I should say in all type of art, but I think it's specific of Islamic collection to have more than in European collections, in the Louvre, in fact, architecture. So we try to give a specific place to architecture, trying to explain better the context of the monument. Here you have the example with the Mamluk porch, coming from Cairo, that was never shown before. It was given in the end of the 19th century by a French collector living in Cairo, and so the new project gave us the possibility to build it again. Other idea is you saw the showcases of the highlights, but of course we decided to show many objects of the collections. It's always a question in museography to know if you need to be very didactic for a large public. It means to have few objects and sometimes to have other galleries more specialized for studying collection. Here you have both in the same place, but in different way of presentation. So here you have didactic series of typology of decorative wood from the Mamluk. Another didactic presentation was about all the tiles of Turkish ceramic from Iznik and other places in Turkey. It's typical of the old European collections to have thousands of such tiles in the storage. And it was an idea to say we will try to rebuild some panels and to show it in a chronological history of ceramic tiles. And even if the visit is chronological, we decided also to have some very thematical subjects typical of Islamic art. As you see here, the carpets area with the possibility to show a sort of history of the carpets and geographical different provenances. And of course, art of the book, which is one of the most important parts of Islamic art, which has to be seen at its own also. We try to be didactic also by the labels. It's the problem of everyone in the museums. Just to see here the type of labels, we try to have the same type of labels. It means short text about the subject of the showcase, always maps to show where we are with whose objects, and then, of course, information about each of those objects. It was a very ambitious project for the Louvre to develop also video programs and touch screen. You have them during the visit with different subjects, and you have them also downstairs in what we call in our team the swimming pool, but as you see, it's in the end of the visit, and so the visitors can have a lot of cultural information and be seated, which is also a good thing in a museum also. And a first experience also about those stations, as we say, which are for young people and for blind people also, but in fact used by everyone, which are copies, in fact, of the masterpieces, and that you can touch and feel the decorative shapes. And to finish, what is always interesting in such a project is that you are convinced when you think about a project that you will find the best solutions. And you have always to be very modest, because what is for us now important 3 years later is to know the results about the perception of the visitors. And these schemes are very funny, but also with lots of information for us. It was summarized by our public department, which does a very important job of inquiries. And you see, in fact, here, 3 different ways of visits. And to be maybe quick, here, it's typical of the visitor that wants to have a quick idea of what is Islamic art and what are those objects. And he, as you see, he do not go downstairs. So he just see the beginning of the visit, the beginning of Islam, and not all the objects, a very quick tour. Here, you have the very serious student who wants to see everything, even if he doesn't really understand everything, but he is in a museum and he thinks he has to see everything. And so what is interesting is that we see here in orange, it's a touch screen. So this type of visitor does not know many things about Islamic art. So he goes here trying to see the rules. What are the rules to visit this space? And then he doesn't understand, in fact, because this screen shows the technique of ceramics in the beginning of Islam. And so he says, oh, I will do everything. And so, in fact, beside those observations, we also have a lot of questions to visitors. And what appears, in fact, is that very few people understand what they see. Sometimes they say, but I was in the decorative art department 1 hour before in the other building. Why do you separate decorative art and we see decorative art? Other people come and say, but I thought it was a religious department. Why do we see more religious art? And some people say, it's very nice, but we don't understand anything. So we are very modest now, and so our perspective to finish is to try in this very ambitious project, which was very expensive, like every ambitious project, to see what are our possibilities. And so we now have a clear idea of what we could do in the 3 or 5 years to come, because the idea of what we could do in 20 years is very clear. I think that one of the possibilities should be to have a very didactic gallery on the upper floor and a more study gallery, I should say, on the floor underground. But this will be in 20 or 25 years, or maybe 30. But in the 5 or 6 years to come, we will try to change the introduction of the department. This is the first view you have of the department when you come inside. And I will not develop here, but it was an essay of explaining what is Islamic art. But I should say it was too intellectual for the public. And so we will try to have something more easier, more pedagogic. And my team is thinking every day to find solutions to show to the public what is Islamic art as an introduction. Another idea is what is one of the problems of the presentation. It's that it's very nice, it's very aesthetic, but without any cultural context. And as you know, Islamic civilization is a civilization of cities. And I think it's very important, of course, to tell stories, but also to show or to give the idea of the cities, of the context, of the buildings, of the monuments. So I will not enter in details of this idea, but an idea to present maybe near the swimming pool, or I will see some things about the cities. Another idea is to create a new space, maybe in the area of the carpets, a space in which we can have some life in this permanent collection, some events. It means that you can imagine small exhibitions that can focus on some objects of the permanent collection, but with the story telling, or with other objects from other museums, but on a very focused subject, always very pedagogic. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, thank you, Yannick. few things that you said relate really to our future museum, the Louvre Abu Dhabi, the connection between architecture actually and the collection itself, the problem of the audience and the paths they follow. The last thing you were just talking about, integrating like life in the museum, is really something we are like working, exploring those ideas. What about the Metropolitan, Sheila?
Okay, well, I'll begin and I'll try to be quick. In 2003, the Islamic galleries at the Metropolitan Museum closed for renovation. The immediate reason for this was the reconstruction of the Greek and Roman galleries on the floor below and the resulting vibration, dust, and periodic interruption of electricity, which would have jeopardized the art in the Islamic galleries and inconvenienced the visitors and museum staff. These renovations also were part of the final phase of a master plan for the museum devised in the 1960s and faithfully carried out over the next 45 years. However, the timing of the closure was not particularly fortuitous, coming 2 years after the 9/11 attacks on the US and in the same year as the invasion of Iraq. This was a time when more than ever before the public wanted to learn about Islam and the regions from Afghanistan to Iraq in which Americans were fighting. Through their collections and the information provided about them, museums can fulfill an educational mission in a far more neutral way than newspapers or television and the internet that are always focusing on current events and their direct causes. However, this is made very difficult if only 50 or 60 objects representing the historical and geographical range of Islamic art are on view in an area that most people pass by on their way to something else. And such was the temporary installation of Islamic objects during the 8-year closure of our galleries. As you may have noticed, I've been talking about Islamic art, using that term, and this is what both the galleries and the department responsible for them had been called until 2003. The closure of the galleries, however, gave the curators the opportunity to rethink the presentation of the collection and to reflect on its relationship to the Muslim world of the 21st century. A map on your screen shows where Muslim populations are concentrated in Africa, Asia, and Europe, but it fails to tell today's story of the millions of Muslims living in Northern Europe and North America, or the historical fact of Muslim domination in Spain. In these places, where Muslims live amidst indigenous populations from whom they might differ ethnically or religiously, can one differentiate the art produced, say, by a Muslim New Yorker, for example, from that produced by a Christian or a Jewish New Yorker? While an argument can be made that historically the art made by and for Muslims was distinctive from, say, that of Christians in the same region, one could also propose that a monolithic term, such as Islamic art, or just even Islamic, suggests both a unity over time and space and a religious motivation or meaning in all of the art produced under this rubric. In 1975, when the Islamic galleries designed under the curatorship of Richard Eddinghausen opened, the configuration of the rooms was somewhat different from that of today. The entrance was the same, so here's the entrance right here. And some of these maps I'm going to show subsequently are going to be turned 90 degrees. I'm sorry, but that was how they are. Anyway, so the entrance was the same, but the visitor could not walk continuously in one direction through a suite of galleries. Instead, he or she could turn right to go to number 2 for the archaeological finds from Nishapur, but then would have to double back to see the rest of the collection. Because the galleries were called Islamic Art, the curators strove to find visual correspondences between objects of the same period, but not necessarily from the same place. Essentially, the galleries were chronologically arranged, with some anomalies. To the left of the introductory gallery was an 18th century room from Damascus, and toward the back of the galleries was a thematic room devoted to the mosque. By emphasizing the stylistic unity of the art of different regions in the same period, the curators propounded a definition of Islamic art as that of eras and places where Islam was the dominant religion, and certain forms, such as geometric patterns, the vine scroll, and the Arabic script, characterized the art across borders and periods. And this is what I mean, it's turned. The entrance now here is right here. So by 2003, these assumptions had been questioned by scholars and the curators at the Met, particularly Stefano Carboni and Navina Haider, who answered the challenge to reposition the Islamic galleries conceptually. As is evident from this plan on the screen, which I say is turned 90 degrees, the new configuration consists of 15 galleries around a central courtyard, which is actually on the floor below. This is a gain of some 4,000 square feet, 400 square meters, over the old galleries. But what would be retained from the old spaces and what would be new in these galleries? Well, during a period of several years of consultation, the decision was reached to organize the galleries regionally and generally in chronological order. Instead of calling them the Islamic galleries, they would be named the galleries of the Arab lands, Turkey, Iran, Central Asia, and later South Asia. This is what is written over the main entrance. While recognizing the length of the name, which is rather inconvenient, the museum also stressed its accuracy, since it includes Spain before 1492 and India after 1500, but not Southeast Asia or Sub-Saharan Africa. Nonetheless, long after arriving at this name, donors and supporters of the museum still had alternative suggestions. The conversation went on and on, I can assure you. In order to reinforce the idea of regions as a determining factor in the arts, the Met curators decided to incorporate design features in each gallery that would have some connection with the places in which the art was made. However, the introductory gallery includes exceptional works from a variety of regions and periods, chosen for several reasons. First, these works are placed to draw the visitor into the space. Second, they exemplify the decorative motifs and artistic concepts that are most prevalent in the arts shown in the whole suite of galleries, and those to which we hoped to introduce first-time visitors. And third, in this room, we wish to establish a general sense of place and the star and cartouche border, which you see the star in the center and these cartouches that go around. I'll show you another slide in a minute. Those are features that are found in book bindings, manuscript illustration, even gardens in Spain and India. While this might seem like a contradiction to what I just said about regions and an attempt to impose a pan-Islamic idea on the regional approach, the room actually was planned as a kind of prism from which one can pass into two different galleries and look through pierced windows screens into a third. So these screens are transparent and look into a gallery. This is one of the ways you can go, and then the other is over here. By going through the door that we see here on the screen, one enters a gallery of Spanish, North African, and Southern Italian art, including some works of early Umayyad Spain. By turning to the right in that room, however, one passes into a gallery of the earliest Egyptian, Iraqi, and Iranian art of the Islamic period in our collection. Major pieces are singled out and placed on individual pedestals, while groups of objects that show the transition from Sasanian and Byzantine art are in cases together with the early Umayyad objects of those places. Now, so as you can see, the objects range from ewers, there's one just to the right of the left-hand column, and throne legs to large wooden fragments and early Quran pages there on the wall. About 50% of the collection of the Islamic Department is from Iran. This is partly because the Met received a division of finds from the excavations of a joint Iranian Met team excavating in the 1930s and 40s at Nishapur, and partly because of the lively market in the US for Iranian art, particularly of the medieval periods during the first half of the 20th century. This was largely driven by figures like Arthur Upham Pope, Hagop Kevorkian, and Dikran Kelikian. The practical result in the Met's new galleries was the need for rooms of different sizes, larger for the Iranian collections, smaller for the Arab and Turkish ones. Here, objects have been grouped by medium, underglazed painted stone paste wares of the 12th and 13th century, in the case right ahead of you, and color, in fact. That was a large part of our thinking of what we put together in cases. They are characteristic of Seljuk art in Iran, and while it was made in the Islamic era, these attractive but utilitarian wares have little to do with the religion of Islam. This is not to say that we avoided religious art, but only that many of the works we show reflect other aspects of medieval Iranian life, whether it is the type of tableware people used or the games they played. As I mentioned before, the design team made an effort to use materials and features that subtly or not so subtly evoke the sense of place. In the Gallery of the Arts of Egypt, Syria, and Iraq, overhead lighting is supplied in part by 2 rows of mosque lamp-shaped lights made by glass blowers from Brooklyn, New York. While inspired, of course, by one of our mosque lamps, they function as a sort of allée on an axis with a door that leads to a European paintings gallery containing Orientalist paintings. Now, we've been criticized for being Orientalists ourselves by making such a connection. However, I think the aim is the same as in the introductory gallery, namely to coax visitors in from that painting gallery to our Arab gallery. Moreover, despite the retrograde political views expressed in Orientalist paintings, some depict landscapes or the interiors of mosques or palaces that provide a sense of context that we can only hint at with details such as lamps and mashrabiyah window screens. One of the features of the previous set of galleries that we wanted to keep was a space for special exhibitions, the Kevorkian Gallery. Over the years, some of the most stimulating small exhibitions of the Islamic Art Department had been staged in that gallery. In the new arrangement, we have gained some space and have continued to mount 2 installations a year. The subject matter has ranged from our inaugural show focusing on major donors to our department to an exhibition of a collection of Turkmen jewelry given to the museum and a show of contemporary Iranian art. When I joined the museum in 2009, there was no policy about collecting modern art of any of the regions that we cover. It seemed short-sighted to me, since today's contemporary is tomorrow's historical collection. With the help of donations from the Iranian American community in New York, we've been steadily collecting the contemporary art of Iran and the Iranian diaspora, and are building a representative collection of works from the mid-20th century to today. And we're also adding Turkish and Arab pieces when we can, mostly through gifts. Now, starting with the Kevorkian Gallery and running along the west and south sides of the rectangle, So up, wait a minute, excuse me, here and here, of our space is a second outer set of rooms. 3 of them on the west side. Actually, I'm sorry, it's really on the south side. I'm getting all my cardinal points confused. But anyway, 3 of them on this side comprise a group of Ottoman galleries, with one primarily devoted to showing carpets, one displaying the imperial arts of the Ottoman world, and the third a period room, which we'll come to presently in a minute. Now, the first 2 are the Koç family galleries, named after the Turkish benefactor who funded them. As you can see, the floors are dark red marble, another regional touch since the stone comes from Turkey. The room contains an anomaly, however. The ceiling is not Ottoman. It is Spanish. It is not from Nasrid, Spain. It is from the 16th century, after the reconquest of Spain under Ferdinand and Isabella. Finally, scholars now believe that it actually comes from a church. Yet, the geometric patterns and muqarnas decoration in the corners and center of the ceiling certainly are part of the visual repertoire of Nasrid, Spain. So, is it Islamic art? Well, only if defined very broadly could this be considered Islamic, since the dependence of most of its decorative motifs is on those of 15th century Andalusia. The third Ottoman gallery is called the Damascus Room, and I mentioned it in the beginning because it used to be in a different part of the space. Dated to 1707, the room was thoroughly conserved before its installation. In the process of this work, the conservators found a system of notation on the back of the wooden panels indicating their proper order, which had not been followed in the original installation and had led to the inscriptions, which you can see. These are all inscriptions, 2 levels of inscriptions going around. They were muddled and not read properly. So now they could be read, and they were found to praise the house, praise the Prophet Muhammad, and praise the owner of the house. Despite the poetic allusions to the Prophet Muhammad, the room functioned as a reception room in a wealthy household. It's, or maybe not in spite of, but there they were as well as that function of the room. Its decoration includes painted and gessoed panels of fruit baskets and architectural vignettes in a style called Turkish Rococo, reflecting the European influence that was beginning to infuse Ottoman art throughout the empire. While guests might have taken pleasure in reading the verses on the wall, they would also have enjoyed the other ornament on the walls and ceiling, which begs the question of the extent to which the verses were simply decorative or if they had specific meaning in this context. And there's been research done by the researcher who was involved in really writing the labels and information for this to find that actually those inscriptions do reflect a particular sort of social situation in Damascus around the turn of the 18th century. The Ottoman galleries give on to an inner L-shaped gallery of Iranian art of the 13th to 16th century, the Mongols to the Timurids, Turkmen, and Uzbeks. And from there, one can proceed to the gallery for later Iranian art, in which a selection from the Met's large and impressive collection of classical carpets is shown. In addition, selections from the famous 16th century Shahnameh of Shah Tahmasp and other works on paper are exhibited in cases, which you can see at the end, where visitors can sit on stools and really look very closely at the paintings. The range of scale from these huge carpets to small metal and ceramic objects was a design challenge. The range of, but it was helped by the height of the ceilings, which are very high, and the clustering of the cases at either end of the gallery. Moreover, the Shahnameh paintings provide a sense of context for the objects and carpets that appear in architectural decorations, as well as in, or architectural interiors, as well as in tents. So you can see them in the pictures, and then you can see them themselves. The carpet on the platform is the so-called emperor's carpet, thought to have been presented by the Safavid Shah Suleiman to Russian Tsar Peter the Great, who in turn gave it to the Habsburg Emperor Leopold I. It was decorated with real and fantastic animals and opulent floral and vegetal ornament. The carpet is one of a pair, the other belonging to the Kunstgewerbe Museum in Vienna. And while the two carpets may have laid side by side, there are reports of royal encampments in which all the furniture was produced in duplicate. So a team could travel one stage ahead of the king and set up the camp there while he was coming from where he was, and he would find all the same things when he got there. The Gallery for Later South Asian Art, contiguous to the Room for Later Iran, contains art of the Sultanate, Mughal, and Deccan courts ranging from 1500 to 1800. Since the Met is an encyclopedic museum, South Asia is also represented in the Asian department's collections. Its galleries are at the opposite end of the second floor of the building, so quite far from these galleries. This isn't really ideal, and so a proposal was made to try to unite India on the museum's website, even if we can't physically link the art of different periods. We also have a second, smaller gallery for later South Asian paintings and textiles of the Hindu courts and the company school from 1500 to 1800, which we co-curate with the Asian department. Although this does not solve the problem of presenting South Asian art in several places, it does reinforce the conceptual parameters of the galleries of the department as a whole, emphasizing geography and chronology, as well as demonstrating the interaction between the arts of the Hindu and Muslim courts of South Asia. In the beginning of my talk, I mentioned how visitors could proceed from the first gallery to the space devoted to the art of Spain, North Africa, and southern Italy, enabling them to view the early and medieval art of the Western Islamic world. Another door leads into this from the gallery, from the large later South Asian gallery. So imagine you've just come in from kind of here, there's a door here, into this gallery. So in the previous configuration of galleries, the 1975 galleries, we had no separate space for this material because the department's collection was too small to fill up such a space. In the years during which the galleries were closed, the Met entered discussions with the Hispanic Society of America about borrowing a selection of objects dating from the 700 years of Islamic domination in the Iberian Peninsula. This not only worked well for the Met, the Hispanic Society is located in a heavily Hispanic part of New York City and wanted to expand their showing of Latin American art, which was made possible by moving some of their Spanish Islamic art to the Met. And it also gives them exposure as well. Furthermore, now we have borrowed Jewish texts and objects in order to show the extremely close interaction of different faith communities and their artists in medieval Spain, with objects such as tiles that come from the synagogue in Toledo, but just as easily could have decorated the walls of a Muslim or Christian building. The question arises of whether the artisans who were previously believed to be Muslim because they worked in the prevailing style were actually Muslims. Were they Muslims? We don't know because there are so few signatures on medieval architectural fragments. Likewise, the beautiful 12th century ivories that may have been made in Sicily or South Italy are the subject of debate since they include turbaned Arab figures alongside other motifs that come from the Romanesque canon. Needless to say, geography and the multicultural makeup of these Mediterranean regions complicate the definition of Islamic art. The last room, I know, I'm wrapping up. The last room in our itinerary marks another departure from the previous galleries. Over the recent decades, the Met has added spaces which are devoted to rest and contemplation, rather than viewing art or commercial activities. Our contribution to this idea is the Moroccan Court. To achieve the construction of an authentic Andalusian Moroccan courtyard, the museum hired a group of craftsmen from Fez who came and worked on constructing the court over a period of 6 months in 2011. Although, and you see them here on your screen. They sent carved wooden elements, but all the zilij tile work and highly detailed carved plaster were achieved on site. They sent hundreds of small, differently shaped glazed tiles and assembled a tile wall panel, the tile wall panels at the Met. Also shipped from Morocco were bags of a special type of plaster that they then mixed and smeared on the walls by hand. Once it was dry, they began to carve it using stencils for the large patterns and very fine carving tools for the details. The result is a small room with a fountain where people stop and sit, taking a break and enjoying the atmosphere. The court is much smaller than the actual courtyards of Marinid buildings in Fez, but in the context of the Met's galleries, it is evocative of the region from which its makers come and an example of a successful survival of traditional crafts. For the past couple of years, we have held informal one-hour concerts in the Moroccan Court and some other galleries, attracting a drop-in crowd who have become loyal followers of our series. 1 or 2 musicians from 1 or more of the regions we cover play their music and often comment on how they like playing in the court. Sometimes we branch out and have dance and other types of performances. This is a Sufi dance performance on the upper right in the galleries, but the intimacy and calm of the Moroccan court seem to appeal to both audiences and performers. Thank you.
Thank you, Malish. It was perfect. We all, it was a bit, everybody has a lot to say, actually, so thank you very much. I'm not sure we have time for Q&A, but if someone in the audience has like a particular question or issue. I mean, looking at your collection, all the 3 of you and the institutions you are representing, I was like, not jealous, but I mean, the collection is very, very important. But on the other hand, I was quite happy. I was thinking maybe we are, in the Louvre Abu Dhabi, rethinking and reinventing the notion of Islamic art, because your presentations are great, beautiful. What is new, actually, in your departments, in your presentations? It's a question I'm asking. We have the privilege, actually, we have the privilege to build something, so, and to put it in context with other civilizations, in dialogue with other civilizations. And on your side, you have to deal with architecture, with departments. So,
yes. So, if I can just answer maybe for the Louvre, of course, the paradox is that it is a new conception inside an old conception, I should say, because the classical conception of those universal museums are the idea of dividing paintings, sculptures, drawings, etc. So it's in fact second 200 centuries conception, and so we try. That's why, because of this reality, I think our liberty can be in some special events, temporary exhibition. Of course, you are very lucky to create the universal dialogue without any separation in the beginning of collections. But every 10 years in the Louvre, there is a dream of changing everything and make, in French we say transversalité, transversality. It's always a word in fashion in the Louvre, but one thing is to imagine it and the other to realize it's very difficult in our museum.
Actually, it might be something like the performance you introduce in your permanent galleries. And yes, I think, yes, thank you for the question.
Sheila was the only one who referred to three very important points in our day and age. First of all, she mentioned the need to continue collecting living cultures. And because when you have a collection that finishes in the 19th century, it is very easy to say about a civilization that it was great at some time, but this greatness does not continue today or is continuous. That was a very important point. Secondly, she mentioned relationships with living communities. You mentioned the Iranian communities and the Turkish communities that supported the galleries. And again, that is something that did not come out in the other talks, but is a very, very important point, because nowadays the question arises, how do galleries like the Islamic art galleries that have been renewed all over the world actually relate to what's happening in the streets of our cities all over the world today? Thirdly, she also mentioned, and we have the slides still up, bringing the communities into the museum with activities, and I'm sure also with other events and interactions. Now that again, I think, is an element that is actually still more important than the renewal of the galleries and the object displays, because if these new initiatives are not used for interfaith and intercultural dialogue, then they are actually not using a potential that is now essential for our communal survival.
I'll leave you answer to the question, but from what I understood, Yannick Lintz was very much concerned by the audience, and Ahmed Al-Shoky concluded his talk
3 points.
Yes. So maybe you want to know more, and I leave you the answer. But
I need to tell what I maybe in translation,
yes.
Because in my mission and my vision for my museum, the new mission vision, I put the dialogue between civilization, but I didn't want to make it something just to talk, but something pragmatically, something gain some to us. More idea. So our new exhibition depends on that. Depends about what happened to the museum, about the bombing. Depend about the terrorist attack which happened to the museum, not far away. So the introduction of the museum will give a message for all visitors who will come to the museum. The Islamic civilization is not a terrorist civilization, but it's creative civilization, produce a lot of ideas in many fields of science, culture, everything, to all the world in medieval ages. This is our mission and vision, to make our youth, our people in Arab or non-Arab world more understood what the civilization, and also make the Western world know better the Islamic civilization and what it's produced for the world.
What I would like, in my opinion, we are in different sociological situations in a certain way. Of course, in North America, the idea of communities is very important. And I think you are really right in your policy here. I think one of your challenges is for the national population is to show that there is not only pharaonic civilization, but also Islamic art in Egypt. And one of my situations with the audience, for instance, I don't really have the solution for the moment, but in France, the huge community, if I want to take the word community, which is not really a very French concept, but the huge community of Muslims are from North Africa, from Morocco, Algeria, and our collections, because the French people organized the museums there in the beginning of the 20th century, one of the consequences is that we don't have at all a lot of collection coming from North Africa. We mainly have Iranian collection and Egyptian collection. So it's not easy to make the link of this, as you show in your map, of it's the same area, our collection as you, and our population. We don't have a very important Turkish community. They are in Germany. We don't have a very important Iranian community also. So to create the dialogue with the national communities, it's not so easy. Of course, we have a lot of project ideas and experiences, but
definitely it's the role of a museum, and I think we're all here for that, and we all work for that. The power of the objects is sometimes very strong.
Could I just say one thing? I think also, in addition to education and connection with communities, the idea of how to counteract the negativity around the Islamic world, etc., that exists because of the terrible things that have been happening, can also be achieved in a more subliminal way, and that really comes from trying to evoke a mood in your spaces, and a mood that is subtle and subtly can change from room to room, but is a mood of calm, and that actually brings an emotional response from people in that they feel calm when they're in that space and they're looking at those objects. And I think that people, of course, respond to works of art, but it's also the space around those works of art that can have a very deep effect, and one that you don't even know is happening to you.
Another question? No, so I think on that note we will thank you very much for coming to visit us in Abu Dhabi, and we hope to see you very soon for a big event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.